Okay. So let's talk about the brine. Brining meats is definitely goes way back of processing of, you know, curing and different things. Salting was curing. But when you're brining meats, this is like the easiest thing that you can do to really get a good flavor in your meat. Let's say you're cramped on time, but you really want something very tasty. Let's say, you know, you can do brining on whole chicken, turkey legs, turkey thighs, chicken thighs. If you even go to my site, you can see just in my weekly meals, I did brine chicken thighs for one of my weekly meals. Just the amount of flavor that goes in. So a basic brine is going to start with just two things: salt and sugar. Then you start adding your flavors. Now today we did a nice garlic and rosemary. You can do, like I said, the recipes are up via my sites and E&H Ace Hardware. They'll have the recipes for all these events as well. So right today I have, it's just granulated garlic and fresh herbs, rosemary, thyme. And when it's done, after you mix it, I'll show you what it'll look like. But when you're making a brine, I don't even put this here.
Do you have a preference on kosher salt?
Usually use kosher salt. You don't want to use a flavored salt. Yeah, any type of kosher salt will do. You don't have to be too fancy on this. You can also do brown sugar. Brown sugar is really good as well. Adds a little more caramelization to the meat that you're cooking. So when you're doing a brine, you use equal parts of sugar and salt. Always keep that in mind, and you'll see on the recipe too. It's equal parts of sugar and salt. You start with that, then you add your flavor, add about 3 or 4 cups of water, depending on, you know, how much meat and stuff you have. But when you're done, it looks like this. You just soak your meat in it. Between minimum about 4 hours, you can go 12 hours, 6 hours, doesn't matter, just how strong you want the brine to be inside of your protein that you're cooking. Hey guys, so I'm going to show you what the brined pork chops, because we want to get these in real quick and cook while we're doing the extra prep. And I'll show you what goes into the brine. But this is what the pork chops look. I'll have them get a good look at this so you can see what's going on here. These have been in for about 5 hours. You can brine your meats anywhere from 4 hours, 12 hours. Some will go overnight, but it just depends on what kind of flavors and how strong your brine is. So here's what they look like after they've been going for a while. This is, again, 5 hours. I'm going to put them on some paper towels first, and we're going to get them on the grill. Okay, so right now, I set the temperature at 400 degrees because we want to get an internal temperature of 160 on our pork chops. We're also going to do the grilled squash and the sweet potatoes, but we're going to have to check those randomly because those will cook a little quicker than these. So let's get these guys on right now. And we'll get a probe in one of these so we can monitor the temperature. That's what's wonderful about the Traeger. Hook it up right to your phone. You put the probe in the meat. I'll show you in just a second. Actually, we'll do it right now. Put it in the middle. That way you can get a good reading. Because if you do this way, you're going to get a misled reading. Just right in the middle. Check out our pork chops, see how they're coming along. We are at 118 degrees now. Get the probe in there, keeping track of that. Again, I always tell you, don't follow those recipes that say, oh, cook for 2 or 3 hours. Always go by your internal temperatures of your meat. That's what's going to tell you that it's done. Steak, it might not matter as much, like I said, because, you know, steak, you either like it dead, well done, or of course medium rare. Like myself, I'm a medium rare person. But always, like chicken and pork, go by your internal temperatures. Don't go by the hours. Because that'll be, you know, you'll be definite of the temperature it's supposed to be at safely. All right, guys, so our pork is now at temperature. We're going to pull that. Definitely check on our squash and sweet potatoes, see if those are doing. I did put those on a little bit later, so they might need another 5 or 10 minutes, but let's get these pork chops off. Okay. All right, guys, so we are back. Everything is done, so we're ready to plate. So our meat had enough time to rest, so all those juices could go back in. We'll get a good slice, but I'll go ahead and plate the plate for you so you can see what it looks like. So let's get to slicing up our first pork chop. I'm going to do it whole, but I kind of want to do a quick slice for you. Beautiful. These things are beautiful. So let's get to plate. We are going to do a couple pieces of squash. Our sweet potato. I'm going to crack this in half. We're going to add just a little more. We covered these in the cinnamon butter, but we're going to add a little more. Oh yeah. Little scallion. Beautiful pork chop. And we have a nice, what goes with pork chops? Honey mustard. So we have a nice honey mustard barbecue sauce. So we'll put a little of that on. We have the perfect dinner. Now, when you're doing smoking and doing different things, a lot of different beers and wines will pair wonderfully with this. What I have picked out for the pork with the different spices that I use, everything that I did on this plate, what goes really good with a smoked pork chop kind of flavor is 2 different beers. A nice red ale, so it could be any of your choice. These are just 2 that I picked out, or a nice dark beer, not like a port, like a porter. You can do a bourbon barrel, but any type of dark beer will complement that nice smokiness of your barbecue plate. So again, today we did a beautiful grilled squash with the duck fat, salt and pepper. We did the sweet potatoes rubbed in that nice cinnamon butter, a little bit of salt and pepper, and then we brined our pork chops in the brine of the kosher salt, the pepper, a little bit of the rub, and then that mixture of granulated garlic and rosemary, and then that sat for about 6 hours. We pulled it out, we grilled it till we reached that internal temperature of 160 degrees, pulled it out, and bam, we have a beautiful plate, we have beautiful pairings, we have a beautiful dinner.